Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. In case you don't know me by now, which means you haven't really been around and you've been out on Bourbon Street, my name is Rich West, and I'm the department chair at Emerson College, but also more importantly, I'm the first vice president here of the National Communication Association, but I guess right now I would be the president of the organization officially, which there really wasn't a major transition in my life at that point. And I certainly am very excited to welcome you to what we consider to be the premier event of any National Association gathering of our convention. This year's awards presentation is sponsored by what we consider our long-term friends at Sage Publication. I really want to thank Sage for helping us to recognize our colleagues' excellence. And Sage has graciously agreed and sponsored our champagne and dessert reception, which will immediately follow these awards. We hope definitely that you'll consider Sage as you consider your scholarly and your teaching needs. So a special thanks to Sage Publications. I wish to begin our celebration today by introducing you to a very special colleague. So what can I say about Lynn Turner? Well, I think I know her pretty well. She is an accomplished leader in communication, a thoughtful colleague, and of course chooses her co-authors quite well. She is, as we all know, the president of our association and has previously served as president of the Organization for the Study of Communication, Language, and Gender, as well as the president of the Central States Communication Association. Lynn has been a faculty member at Marquette University's College of Communication for over 25 years, where she teaches at both the undergraduate and graduate levels and is the director of the interdisciplinary minor in family studies. She's the co-author and co-editor of over 10 books, over 35 chapters and journal articles, and serves on the editorial boards of such diverse journals as the Journal of Family Communication, Communication Teacher, and Communication Studies. Now, by now, most of you know that I've had the privilege of working with Lynn as we have written 5 books and numerous essays and articles together. Most recently, in a very different way, I've known her in my capacity as first vice president of our association. Today, it's especially exciting to introduce Lynn Turner because she herself has been a model of outstanding teaching, scholarship, and service. In addition, over the years, Lynn has effectively demonstrated that being leaders does not mean that one has to be unyielding or uncivil. Rather, throughout her years as an officer of NCA, I've witnessed someone who actually thinks before she speaks, someone who attempts to bridge conflicting views, and someone who's simply a very, very nice person. In addition, let me state that Lynn is frankly one of the most ethical people I've ever met in the field of communication. Throughout her time on the executive committee, she has been instrumental in making sure that we are inclusive. She runs meetings in much the same way that she runs her life, methodical, transparent, and usually calm, but she's always very much aware of the people around her. I met Lynn in 1984, and that means we've known each other for over a quarter of a century. Therefore, I'm confident in saying that her quiet charisma and a relentless pursuit of what is fair have inspired hundreds of people over the years, and perhaps thousands as I think of the age right now. My age. When I asked a former grad student of Lynn Turner what she thought of Lynn, here's what she said. I cannot imagine ever having anyone in my life again who actually cared about my writing, my thinking, and even my personal life. She is like a really good preacher without all the flair and bad clothing. She inspires, she teaches, and she is the epitome of what I aspire to be. She may not know it, but she has been a mentor even from afar. Let me close by quoting one of the most influential but really not well-known figures in my life, and that person is my mom. Now, when I told her that I was going to introduce Lynn today, she said the following: "Tell them that you always have a smile on your face when you talk to her." And yes, I am smiling today as I introduce our president of the National Communication Association and my best friend, Dr. Lynn Turner.
Wow, thank you very much for that beautiful introduction. It's going to be hard to talk now, so I might start crying or something. But I certainly appreciate your kind words, Rich, and I hope I live up to them. Certainly, you have been the best friend I could possibly want to have in this profession. And I want to thank Rich also for planning such a stellar convention this year. I think many of your innovations will become NCA traditions over time, and I value the way that you have woven into this convention so many approaches that we have available to us for making a difference. We can exercise our voices and affect others positively through service, community, donations, as well as through our research. And I think you've done a beautiful job with this convention in showing all of that. So congratulations, Rich, and all of your planners and all of the support people who put this convention together. It's been a wonderful weekend. Congratulations also to the award winners who will be honoring here tonight. Your achievements reflect so positively on you, and we thank you for sharing your accomplishments with the discipline and our association. And also thanks to all of you who are here tonight for being here at the convention, supporting our mission, and supporting each other. And just a quick shout out, thank you to my husband. Thank you for being here too, Ted. And of course, thank you to all of you in the association for supporting me over the last several years in my roles as candidate, convention planner, and this year as your president. I have learned a great deal from my interactions with you, and I welcome your feedback and your responses as a sign that you are listening to my voice and reading spectra, and you feel encouraged to exercise your own voices as well. And that leads me to the topic of my talk this evening. I'm playing with Rich's interesting convention-themed voice and exploring how it resonates with disciplinary and association issues. It's a heady topic, and one about which books could be and have been written, but I promised Rich I would be brief. So in our time together tonight, I'd like to touch on 3 points only. First, an interpretation of the concept of voice. Second, a discussion about our association's struggles in finding its voice. And finally, a few suggestions for finding and exercising NCA's voice. So to begin, what do we mean when we use the term voice? Of course, it's the literal ability to form sounds and project them. But as Christopher Hitchens noted in a recent essay in Vanity Fair, the literal voice means more than simply projecting sounds. Hitchens suffers from a form of cancer that has attacked his vocal cords and literally taken away his voice. And he comments, and this is a quote from him, "To a great degree, in public and private, I was my voice. In the medical literature, the vocal cord is a mere fold, a piece of gristle that strives to reach out and touch its twin, thus producing the possibility of sound effects. But I feel there must be a deep relationship with the word cord, the resonant vibration that can stir memory, produce music, evoke love, bring tears, move crowds to pity and mobs to passion." In this passage, Hitchens demonstrates the relationship between a literal voice and identity. So voice means something about who we are. And when it's suggested that we find our own voice or use our voice, that seems to mean that we project to others who we are and what we are all about. Of course, the concept of voice is related to the concept of silence, both in the sense of the power of being quiet, knowing when to speak and when not to speak, as well as in the sense of resisting another's voice by attempting to silence it. Jason Stanley, a professor of philosophy at Rutgers University, recently wrote in the New York Times Online that in the service of silencing others, politicians of all persuasions misappropriate words and twist meanings. He calls this the linguistic strategies for stealing the voices of others. He argues that these strategies seem more widely used today than ever before. Stanley cites the feminist scholar Catherine McKinnon, who stated, some time ago that pornography silences women, as well as the philosophers of language, Jennifer Hornsby and Ray Langdon, who elaborated McKinnon's assertion by developing an account of the mechanisms of silencing. Stanley notes that Hornsby and Langdon explained silencing as robbing others of the ability to engage in speech acts such as assertion. He goes on to observe that there is another kind of silencing familiar in the political domain as well. It is possible to silence people by denying them access to the vocabulary to express their claims. In some ways, Stanley and Hitchens' comments point to the limits of voice, or at least to the fact that voice is not exercised in a vacuum. As we are working on expressing ourselves and finding our voices, others may be working to silence us. And we need to be aware that voice is a relational concept. We only have it to the extent that others listen to us and do not actively work against us to rob us of our ability to express ourselves. One might argue that in contemporary society, it is easier than ever to have and to exercise voice. Myriad forms of social media give users a platform to tell others who they are and what they think. Ben Zimmer recently wrote in the New York Times Magazine about what he called the burgeoning field of Twitterology. You may be familiar with this study performed by two sociologists at Cornell University, Scott Goller and Michael Macy, which was recently published in the journal Science. The study examined how emotions relate to the rhythms of daily life across many English-speaking countries. The researchers used a computer program that captured emotion words in tweets, and they operationalized emotion words as being either a positive or a negative. They observed a gradual fall off in positive terms from the beginning of the workday and bottoming out in the late afternoon. Maybe not surprising. One reason that Golder and Macy were drawn to use Twitter as a database was because it has become such a forum for multiple voices. Of course, such approaches are not without their critics. James Pennybacker, who actually the social psychologist who from the University of Texas who pioneered that text analysis computer program that's often used in this type of research, notes that it really isn't the most nuanced way to access voice, and deeper, richer linguistic analysis is needed to find out how people exercise voice. And this is especially true on Twitter, because on that medium, sarcasm and other playful uses of language are usually difficult to discern just through the textual analysis that the computer program avails us of. And then Zimmer further notes that Twitterologists will continue to have a tough row to hoe in justifying their research to those who think that Twitter is because there are those who think Twitter is a trivial form of communication. No less a figure than Noam Chomsky has taken Twitter to task recently for being superficial. And Chomsky has said that Twitter is not a medium for serious interchange. But Zimmer argues that the diversity of voices found on Twitter may allow us to uncover truths about voice and truths about social interaction that are quite serious indeed. In a recent issue of Communication Currents, Cecilia Hogan writes about her generation's online activities, and her perspective seems congruent with Zimmer's. Hogan, who is the national manager of the American Democracy Project, an initiative of the American Association of State Colleges and Universities, focused on higher education's role in preparing informed, engaged citizens for democracy, suggests that young people are not apathetic and disengaged, as some studies of their voter participation would suggest, but are rather differently engaged. They may not be voting, according to Hogan, but they are engaged in online civic behaviors. Hogan observes that a recent study found that during the 2008 presidential campaign, 41% of those aged 18 to 29 watched candidate interviews, watched debates, listened to speeches, saw commercials, all online. In addition to using the internet to acquire political information, many youths engage in online discussions about politics and current events. These discussions take place on social networking platforms that are completely invisible to those who do not use these tools on a regular basis. Hogan understands that these new forms of engagement look vastly different from older means of political participation, and they may seem trivial to older generations. But she argues that the voice of the millennial generation is vibrant, and it must be respected both in its own right and in order to figure out ways of encouraging higher voter turnout. So voice is a tricky concept. Amid the din of competing voices, both in public and private, we need ways to sort out which ideas to believe, which directions to follow, and how to shape our own opinions and give voice to them. We need to consider who has the authority to speak and what their biases might be. We need to examine how willing the listeners are and what intentions interactors bring to the situation. So now let's consider the question of how this metaphor of voice can be applied not just to one person, but rather to an association such as our own, comprised of approximately 8,000 members. First, I begin with the assumption, and perhaps it's an arguable one, that NCA struggles to find a unified voice. Seems a justifiable assertion, though, when you acknowledge the rich diversity that characterizes our association, whose members embrace differing views on both content and method related to the study of communication. I was on a panel yesterday examining the results of interviews with 11 university presidents who hold communication degrees. One of the presidents was quoted as saying that NCA has yet to find its national voice. I find that quote telling. Many of our recently elected officers, including myself, have campaigned on a platform that in one way or another asserted that NCA needs a higher degree of visibility and more of a presence in the public sphere, more of a voice. And we are working on this, and we've made strides in that direction, but we still struggle both to actually accomplish that and then, of course, to know what our voice should be saying. Perhaps our struggles are related to the complexity of applying the metaphor of voice to our association, but in addition, I offer that there might be some other reasons that projecting our voice is a struggle for us. One reason may come from our history. Many of us are familiar with the story that what we now know as NCA was founded because of discontent. The history of our field tells us that speech teachers were often found in English departments in the early 20th century. And over time, they became increasingly dissatisfied with the situation because of their belief that speech was something different and distinct from writing. And then in 1913, a small group of public speaking teachers walked out of the annual meeting of the National Council of Teachers of English to begin an association of speech teachers, and thus began the journey that we are sharing today. In her presidential address last year, Dawn Braithwaite came to several conclusions about our identity after surveying our history, and I think 3 of them are worth repeating here because they point to a historical context that may condition our struggle today. She mentioned that we were born of rebellion, we were born of insecurity, and we were born of professional isolation. And I agree with those conclusions. And I submit that those who rebel gain their voice best in clear opposition to that which they rebel against. Today, our opposition may not be so clear to us as it was to our colleagues in 1913. Further, although we now have our own association, we still suffer some of the same insecurities and professional isolation that our colleagues in 1913 felt, although hopefully to a much lesser degree. It is the case in many institutions today that we are called upon to explain communication to our colleagues from other disciplines, as well as to justify our existence to upper administration. I cannot count how many times I have explained the type of research I do to people inside and outside of the academy, and the listener will reply, "Oh, you mean like psychology?" I did a small survey collecting information from 50 colleagues from a variety of disciplines to ascertain their knowledge about communication. They provided 47 different definitions. 50 people, 47 different definitions, most of which I did not recognize as being completely accurate for my own understanding of our field. Our struggles might be compounded by the fact that if I conducted this study with 50 communication colleagues, I might also generate a diversity of definitions, but hopefully they would all adhere around a common core. This is a tension that many before me have discussed and that we continue processing in our association. So we struggle. And what's to be done? Well, first of all, in order to really have a voice, we need to have something to say. And now I'm going to give you a little anecdote, and I had this planned before Brenda Allen's talk last night. She began with a little anecdote about herself in the 7th grade, and I wanted to tell you something about myself in the 8th grade. Unfortunately, I hadn't conferred with Brenda beforehand, or I might have thought about putting up a picture for my 8th grade graduation, but she did for her 7th grade picture. But oh well. So when I was in 8th grade, I was an aspiring actor, and I had a part in our school play. In one part of the play, I had to say a line which was, "Oh, evil, evil." That line was a cue line for another student's entrance. When I said my line, the other student failed to come on stage. I had the audience's attention, but I really didn't have anything else to say. So I said, "Oh, evil, 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 evil," until the missing actor finally appeared on the stage. I did win Best Actress in the 8th grade that year, probably because of my clever intonation, the many different ways I could say evil. But I wouldn't have won any prizes for content. But as communication scholars, we have a great deal of content. We have a lot to say. As Larry Fry noted in 2009, there can be little doubt that the academic disciplinary study of communication has contributed significantly to the explosion of communication consciousness that occurred during the 20th century. Indeed, given the popular perception of the importance of communication, as well as the turn to discourse by scholars from virtually every academic discipline, from the humanities to the social sciences to the natural sciences, the 20th century, at least the second half, might well be called the communication century. I think that's a very eloquent statement that Dr. Fry made about the importance of communication. So in many ways, we have a voice, or at least a public acknowledgement that what we study is important. But what exactly is our story about communication, and how should we use that voice? Should we revel in the strength of our diversity and create multiple voices gathered together in community? In this approach, NCA's role might be to provide support and resources for the many voices that will project from under its big tent. Should we find a unified approach to communication and stand behind that, excluding those who do not subscribe to it? In this approach, single speakers from NCA could articulate internally and externally for all of the members. Or is there another way? Is it possible for us to create a story that focuses on what we have in common while allowing space for our diversity? Surely, of all disciplines, communication provides us with the tools we need to shape a compelling narrative around our creative tensions between diversity and unity. In this approach, NCA could provide spokespeople, but the story each told would be in service of capturing our diversity. Of course, this approach has risks. It requires an openness to change and a willingness to put our mission at the center of all we do. But we have a lot of resources to help us if we choose this path. Earlier, I referenced last year's presidential address and Dr. Braithwaite's conclusions about our history. I suggested that our insecurities might add to our struggles about exercising our voice. But in addition to contributing to our struggles, our legacy provides us with strengths, a willingness to embrace change, a willingness to embrace risk, a clear sense of communication as a unique and important discipline in its own right. In thinking about the possible choices we have for exercising our voice, we might want to take a page from Kelly Lassen's book. Lassen is the founder of Adbusters, and although he himself does not claim ownership of the Occupy Wall Street movement, many have suggested that it grew from his critiques of branding. Regardless of your opinion of the Occupy movement, Lassen's comments, I think, have resonance for NCA. He suggests the importance of telling your story and taking control of the narrative. On the blog The Lead, Robert Mackey quotes Lassen as suggesting that subscribers to the Occupy movement should, and this is a quote from him, declare victory and throw a party, a festival, a jubilee, a grand gesture to celebrate, to commemorate and rejoice in how far we've come, the comrades we've made, the glorious days ahead. Imagine on a Saturday yet to be announced, perhaps our movement's 3-month anniversary, all of the occupies in the world will reclaim the streets for a weekend of triumphant hilarity and joyous revelry. We dance like we've never danced before, and we invite the world to join us. I like those ideas about taking control of the narrative and celebrating our accomplishments. I think those ideas apply well to NCA at this time in our history. If we dance into the future, willing to be changed by what we've started, to borrow a phrase from the Unitarian minister Robert Hardy's, I believe we will be finding our way and finding our voice. Thank you, and let's dance.
Thank you, Lynn. And one of the changes this year in what I think is an incredible group of award recipients, it really reflects my own participation in this event over the last several years. I'm sitting in a very large ballroom when an award recipient would come up here. I could not see what that person looked like. So this year we decided to have the recipients give us a picture of themselves that we're going to flash up there. And because it's a really attractive group of winners this year. So we wanted to make sure we celebrate, of course, this attractive group of people. So as you see a picture up there, it actually correlates with the person standing here as well. So it's just not these random pictures we found at the convention and threw them up there. So let us begin this very honorable ceremony, and on behalf of the National Communication Association, we congratulate the teachers, the scholars, and those who provided relentless service to this organization. We begin with the Community College Outstanding Educator Award. This award recognizes individuals who have made outstanding contributions to education at community colleges while exemplifying excellence in teaching, scholarship, and service to the discipline. This year, the award is presented to J. Dan Rothwell of Cabrillo College. Rothwell is a noted author, and he's a dedicated family member, serving numerous positions at Cabrillo College. Above all, he's described as an exceptional teacher. He's extremely dedicated to his craft and works diligently to keep his classes engaging, exciting, and current with the latest information. Rothwell encourages his students to immerse themselves in hard work and to meet challenging expectations, all while maintaining a little fun. Congratulations to John Rothwell. The Donald Eckroyd Award for Outstanding Teacher in Higher Education is given to honor an NCA member who exemplifies superlative teaching in higher education. And this year, the award is presented to Michael E. Roloff of Northwestern University. Roloff is an internationally respected, he's a prolific scholar whose publication credits include editing 5 field-defining books and authoring over 100 articles and chapters. Roloff's work has had enormous impact on how researchers conceptualize and investigate interpersonal compliance gaining, conflict, negotiation, and bargaining processes. In addition, his exemplary service to the profession includes serving on 10 different journal editorial boards, reviewing scores of journal articles, editing communication yearbook, and co-editing communication research for over a decade. Congratulations, Michael Roloff. The Marcella E. Oberle Award for Outstanding Teaching in Grades K through 12 honors teachers who have exhibited both outstanding teaching as well as a commitment to the communication profession. And this year, the award is presented to David A. Yastremski of Ridge High School in New Jersey. As a high school communication and forensics teacher, Yastremski is highly regarded by both faculty and students for his commitment to academic preparation, collaboration, and creativity. Perhaps nothing defines Yastremski more clearly than his enthusiasm for and dedication to the school's forensics program. He planned and founded a program that has steadily grown into one of the most successful programs in the United States. His members compete at the highest levels and have consecutively won the New Jersey State Championship for the last 9 years. Congratulations, David Yastremski. The Wallace A. Bacon Lifetime Teaching Excellence Award recognizes the teaching excellence of retired college and university faculty members, and this year the award is presented to Cynthia Berryman Fink of the University of Cincinnati. Throughout her academic career, Berryman Fink has been dedicated to encouraging effective teaching among her colleagues. As a result, she has served in many teaching-oriented administrative roles and committees, including the University of Cincinnati's Faculty Development Officer, Teaching Innovations Project, General Education and Oral Communication across the curriculum, and the Preparing Future Faculty Advisory Committee. Even in retirement, her commitment to learning and teaching continues as she volunteers her time as a tutor, reads to at-risk preschoolers, and teaches courses at the North Carolina Center for the Creative Retirement. Congratulations, Cynthia Berryman Fink. We move to our scholarship awards. The Bernard J. Brommel Award for Outstanding Scholarship or Distinguished Service in Family Communication recognizes individuals who have made outstanding contributions to the area of family communication. This year, the award is presented to Tamara Fifi of the University of California, Santa Barbara. Afifi holds an outstanding record of accomplishment in both scholarship and service to the Family Communication Division, the Journal of Family Communication, and beyond. She's developed a research program that is impressive in scope and rigorous and sustained in its attention to the relationship between communication competencies and family members' well-being. The number and placement of her publications, including those in highly regarded journals outside of the communication discipline, suggests the reach of her intellectual reputation and significance of the body of her work. Congratulations, Tamara Afifi. The Charles H. Woolbert Research Award is presented to an NCA member who has published a journal article or book chapter that has stood the test of time and has become the stimulus for new conceptualizations of speech communication phenomena. This year, the award is presented to Mac Parks of the University of Washington and Corey Floyd of Arizona State University for their article, Making Friends in Cyberspace, published in the Journal of Communication. Parks and Floyd's innovative article involved interviews with online subjects, evaluation, and modification of measurement scales, yet untested in virtual settings, and a topic which at that time left many people uncertain and skeptical. However, the article's impact is clear and is reflected in the amazing citation count that the article has amassed. According to Google Scholar, other researchers have cited the article 900 times. As digital and virtual media become more commonplace, those who have jumped into this research stream are well aware of the influence that Parks and Floyd's contributions had on their own research. Congratulations, Mac Parks and Corey Floyd. The Diamond Anniversary Book Award is presented to the author of the most outstanding scholarly book published during the last 2 years. This year, the award is presented to Marvin Crady of the University of Pennsylvania for his book, Reality Television and Arab Politics, Contention in Public Life. Receiving the award on behalf of Marvin Crady is Barbie Zelizer. With every page, Crady's distinguished book brings a high quality of analysis, insight, and cultural depth to a popular genre of mediated communication that serves as a crucial site of knowledge and political action in a part of the world where such television plays an active role in the lives of its people. Crady does an excellent job of helping both general and scholarly readers understand the sometimes subtle, sometimes decisive distinctions between the nature and role of reality television in diverse Arab nations by providing illuminating case studies and writing in a style that is clear, engaging, and quite powerful. So extend our congratulations, please, to Marvin Crady. The Donald P. Cushman Memorial Award honors the top-ranked student author paper from all NCA units that competitively rank papers for programming at the NCA annual convention. This year, the award is presented to Katie Striley of Ohio University for her paper, Last One Picked in the Gym, Reclaiming Narrative Voice in Gifted Children's Stories of Ostracism. Striley's winning paper focuses on the narrative of 75 gifted adolescents about their experiences of being ostracized from peer groups. Her study finds that adolescents who are left out felt simultaneously gazed upon and invisible, as well as hurt and muted. The study also finds that these gifted adolescents are capable of reframing their experiences of ostracism and regaining authorship of their stories by rejecting popularity, celebrating individuality, and changing their perceptions of the future. Striley's paper provides a sensitive analysis and gives voice to a poignant and understudied phenomenon. Congratulations, Katie Striley. The Douglas W. Enninger Distinguished Rhetorical Scholar Award honors scholars who have executed research, programs in rhetorical theory, rhetorical criticism, and our public address studies while demonstrating intellectual creativity, perseverance, and impact on academic communities. This year, the award is presented to Robert C. Rowland of the University of Kansas. Whether writing about argumentation, mythic criticism, or public sphere rhetoric, Rowland is among the few scholars in the field able to move so adroitly from one topic to another, while his writings almost invariably teach readers something new. Rowland's 2003 book with David Frank, Shared Land, Conflicting Identity, earned the Corse Campbell Prize in Rhetorical Criticism, and his 2009 QJS essay written with John Jones, Recasting the American Dream in American Politics, Barack Obama's keynote address to the 2004 Democratic National Convention, won the Outstanding Article Award from NCA's Political Communication Division. Through his work, Roland has steered the intellectual currents of his field, led his peers to insight, and brought distinction to our academic community. Congratulations, Robert Roland. The Gerald M. Phillips Award for Distinguished Applied Communication Scholarship recognizes the author of a body of published research and creative scholarship in applied communication. This year, the award is presented to Joanne Keaton of North Carolina State University. Just turn it off. Keaton has had a long and illustrious career involving tremendous contributions to applied communication research. The author of 16 books and many journal articles, Keaton has advanced scholarly knowledge in areas such as organizational, health, and small group and team communication. She has also advanced scholarly conversations of applied communication scholarship by serving as editor of the Journal of Applied Communication Research and as the inaugural editor, and we thank you for that, of Communication Currents. Congratulations, Joanne Keaton. The Gerald R. Miller Outstanding Doctoral Dissertation Award recognizes new scholars who have recently completed their dissertations. This year, the award is presented to Michael Serrazio of the University of Pennsylvania and Allison M. Scott of University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Serrazio's dissertation entitled Your Ad Here, the Coolest Sell of Guerrilla Marketing intelligently analyzes how advertisers are adapting to the new media world through unconventional and interactive channels. Through a close examination of emblematic campaign examples, articles in the popular and trade press coverage, and in-depth interviews with dozens of prominent practitioners, Serrazio's study uncovers a form of cultural production that reworks the archetype of combination from mass broadcasting to network culture. And today we learned that this research is forthcoming from NYU Press. Congratulations, Michael Serrazio. Scott's dissertation, entitled Family Conversations About End-of-Life Health Decisions, used a multiple goals theoretical perspective to explain how different ways of attending to interaction goals and end-of-life decision-making can yield more or less favorable outcomes. Her findings imply that end-of-life conversations are most effective when family members are able to address the primary task of engaging in end-of-life talk while also attending to the relevant identity and relational implications of such conversations. Congratulations, Allison Scott. The Golden Anniversary Monograph Award is presented to the most outstanding scholarly monograph published during the previous calendar year. This year, the award is presented to Stephen John Hartnett of the University of Colorado, Denver, for his article, Communication, Social Justice, and Joyful Commitment, published in the Western Journal of Communication. For the past 21 years, Hartnett has been teaching creative writing, public speaking, and other college classes and workshops in prisons and jails around the country. His passion led him to become the co-founder of PCARE, a national group of scholars who work on prison communication, activism, research, and education. Hartnett also serves as the editor of Captured Words, Free Thoughts, which is a biannual magazine that showcases poems and stories of imprisoned writers. Hartnett is the author of 5 books, the most recent of which is Executing Democracy, Volume 1, Capital Punishment and the Making of America, 1683 to 1800. Congratulations, Stephen John Hartnett. I need to pause right here. As you know, our pictures are no longer available because of technological snafu. I need to let you know they are very attractive people. You're just not getting them all. The Franklin S. Hayman Award for Distinguished Scholarship in Freedom of Expression is given to the authors of published research on freedom of expression. This year, the award is presented to Michael Waltman of the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and John Haas of the University of Tennessee for their book, The Communication of Hate. In their thoughtful work, Waltman and Haas provided a comprehensive examination of how hate speech is employed in the United States and how it can be countered with anti-hate discourse. The authors vividly describe hate speech as designed not to create better relationships in communities, but to destroy individuals or groups. Waltman and Haas have authored a work of scholarship of enduring value, which can advance the central First Amendment ideal of societal progress through freedom of expression rather than through governmental punishment of expression. Congratulations, Michael Waltman and John Haas. The James A. Winans and Herbert A. Witchelms Memorial Award honors distinguished scholarship in rhetoric and public address. This year, the award is presented to Bradford Vivian of Syracuse University for his book, Public Forgetting, The Rhetoric and Politics of Beginning Again. Receiving the award on Professor Vivian's behalf is Amos Kivi. In addition to this award-winning book, Vivian has also authored Being Made Strange, Rhetoric Beyond Representation, as well as co-edited with Andimo Rhetoric, Remembrance, and Visual Form. His work has appeared in QJS, Philosophy of Rhetoric, Rhetoric and Public Affairs, Journal of Communication, the Journal of Speculative Philosophy, and the Western Journal of Communication. Vivian received the National Endowment for the Humanities Summer Stipend. He's also a recipient of the Carl R. Wallace Memorial Award, as well as the B. Aubrey Fisher Award. So congratulations to Bradford Vivian. The James L. Golden Outstanding Student Essay in Rhetoric Award recognizes outstanding essays by undergraduate or pre-master's graduate students focusing on the history, theory, or criticism of rhetoric. This year, the award is presented to Katie Irwin of the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign for her essay, Visibly Absent, The Representation of American Eugenic History Through the Image Archive of the American Eugenics Movement. Irwin is currently a doctoral student in the Department of Communication at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Her concentration is on rhetoric and public discourse, and her research examines early 20th century visual rhetorics and notions of citizenship. She holds a master's degree in communication with an emphasis on rhetoric and political culture from the University of Maryland, as well as a bachelor's degree in communication from the University of Maryland. Congratulations, Katie Irwin. The Carl R. Wallace Memorial Award seeks to foster and promote philosophical, historical, or critical scholarship of recent Ph.D.s or advanced doctoral students in rhetoric and public discourse. This year, the award is presented to Jeremy Ingalls of Penn State University. As a wonderful historian, astute theorist, and critic, Ingalls has already made important critical, historical, and theoretical contributions to the understanding of how rhetoric manifests in democratic practices. This year, the Wallace Award recognizes a book project titled The Politics of Resentment, How a Democracy Went to War with Itself, in which Ingalls will argue the antecedents for today's rhetoric of resentment may be found in the rhetorical performance of 60s conservatives. Ingalls has proven he is among the very best young rhetorical scholars, and his new book promises to be an incisive, historically grounded book of exceptional value in the current rhetorical environment. Congratulations, Jeremy Ingalls. The Carling Corse Campbell Award in Rhetorical Criticism is a biennial award that recognizes the most outstanding book published in the Rhetoric and Public Affairs series at Michigan State University Press. This year, the award is presented to Robert Asen of the University of Wisconsin-Madison for his book, Invoking the Invisible Hand, Social Security and the Privatization Debates. In this work, Asen shows how market-based appeals resonate powerfully in our political culture. As one reviewer wrote, Asen's examination of controversies over privatization during the 1990s and the George W. Bush proposals of 2005 is a tour de force. This book establishes his credentials as one of the most perceptive scholars examining the rhetoric of public policy. The Course Campbell Prize follows on the heels of last year's Winans Witchhelms and Marie Hockmeth Nichols Awards, making this book a 3-time awardee. Congratulations, Robert Asen. I told you, they're very attractive people. The Leslie Irene Koger Award for Distinguished Performance is given to a director, producer, teacher, or performer who has contributed an outstanding body of live performances. This year, the award is presented to Elise Lampineau of Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. Pineau's distinguished body of work demonstrates performance as critical pedagogy and ranges from solo performance to adapting and directing group performances of fiction. Her first-rate autobiographical one-person performances include Nursing Mother Shadowboxing, Myths of Miniatures of Home and Navel-Gazing, a methodological play. She has also created 14 full-length productions. The novels she has adapted and directed with rigor and love include Margaret Atwood's The Penelopead, Catherine Dune's Greek Love, and Tom Robbins' Skinny Legs and All. Congratulations, Elise Lampineau. I didn't get that. The Lilla A. Heston Award is for outstanding scholarship in interpretation and performance studies. It recognizes individual scholarly contributions to interpretation and performance studies. This year, the award is presented to Bruce Henderson of Ithaca College and Harvey Young of Northwestern University. Henderson is recognized for his trailblazing efforts to the discipline by articulating the expanding intersection of performance and disability studies, chiefly in his book, Understanding Disability Studies and Performance Studies. His tireless work of editing, writing, and collaborating significantly advances the borders of the discipline and expands the possibilities for research for years to come. Congratulations, Bruce Henderson. Harvey Young is recognized for his book, Embodying Black Experience, an intriguing exploration of the intersection of critical race theory and performance studies. In expanding traditional concepts of text, Young's distinctive readings of various performances of bodies and stillness made provocative progress in our understanding of the pervasiveness of performativity. Congratulations, Harvey Young. The Mark L. Knapp Award in Interpersonal Communication recognizes individuals who have made significant scholarly contributions to the study of interaction and/or relational processes while contributing to the quality of interpersonal communication through active involvement in the discipline. This year, the award is presented to Michael E. Roloff of Northwestern University. Joining Northwestern University in 1978, Roloff's research interests are in the areas of interpersonal influence with courses and publishing related to persuasion, change management, organization change, bargaining, and negotiation. He has co-edited 4 research volumes, including Persuasion, New Directions in Theory and Research, Social Cognition and Communication, Interpersonal Processes, and Communication Negotiation. And he also wrote Interpersonal Communication, The Social Exchange Approach. For many scholars, Roloff's research has been influential not only because of its abundance, but because it is smart, clever, and elegant. In addition to his research, Roloff has chaired NCA's publication board and has served on ICA's publication board. Among other honors, he's received the Wolbert Research Award and is one of the very few scholars to be elected a Distinguished Scholar of NCA as well as a Fellow of ICA. Congratulations, Michael Roloff. The Stephen E. Lucas Debut Publication Award aims to identify and praise a contribution to the discipline by an author publishing a first scholarly book or monograph. This year, the award is presented to Thomas R. Dunn of the University of Georgia for his work, Remembering Matthew Shepard, Violence, Identity, and Queer Counterpublic Memories, in the journal Rhetoric and Public Affairs. Dunn's article examines the strategic use of public memories by counterpublics in the rhetorical defiance and construction of Matthew Shepard's murder case. The author engaged a nuanced, sophisticated, and multi-layer analysis of violence, gay and lesbian identity, and queer notions of community through diverse media outlets. Dunn provides insights on political contestation between heterosexual and queer communities, as well as on contestation among gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and queer advocates. The author challenged the perception of a single queer past and proposed an expanded perspective of queer counterpublic memories, all while demonstrating a remarkable quality of scholarship evident in this debut publication. Congratulations, Thomas Dunn. The Robert J. Kibler Memorial Award recognizes someone with the personal and professional qualities of dedication to excellence, a commitment to the profession, a concern for others, vision of what could be, and acceptance of diversity, and forthrightness. This year, the award is presented to Brian H. Spitzberg of San Diego State University. The scope and magnitude of Spitzberg's accomplishments attest to his dedication to excellence. His prodigious output includes 7 scholarly books, 57 monographs and chapters, 48 scholarly articles, and 177 conference presentations. In 2009, he won San Diego State University's Senate's Excellence in Teaching Award, a testament to the high quality of his teaching abilities. His commitment to the discipline is reflected in his service on 7 editorial boards and reviewing manuscripts for 16 prominent journals. His commitments to students include chairing 65 master's theses and serving on another 75 thesis committees. Spitzberg clearly exemplifies the criteria for the Kibler Award, and we congratulate Brian Spitzberg. The Samuel L. Becker Distinguished Service Award honors an NCA member who has given outstanding cumulative service in research, teaching, and/or service to both NCA and the profession. This year, we're honored in 2 ways. One is the present of Professor Sam Becker. Would you like you to stand, please, to be recognized, if possible? Thank you. And we also have the pleasure of recognizing our good friend Orlando Taylor of the Chicago School of Professional Psychology as this year's award winner. While president of NCA, Orlando realized we were isolated from the higher education community in our Annandale, Virginia headquarters. He made it a priority to support moving the NCA national office to the District of Columbia. Once the move was complete, he worked to ensure educational leaders in D.C. knew who we were, and we worked with us on a multiplicity of projects. Orlando also had diversifying NCA as a goal. NCA staff has become more diverse as our time in the district has increased. Orlando did these things quietly and without fanfare, but his efforts made profound changes for better visibility of our great association. Congratulations, Orlando Taylor. The Distinguished Scholar Award recognizes and rewards a lifetime of scholarly achievement in the study of communication. It is my pleasure to announce that the 2011 recipients of this honor are Clifford G. Christians of the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, Gail T. Fairhurst of the University of Cincinnati, Dennis K. Mumby of the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, and Barbie Zelizer of the University of Pennsylvania. Christians is one of the world's leading authorities in media ethics, and he spent his entire career at the Institute of Communications Research at the University of Illinois, rising from an assistant professor to Charles H. Sandage Distinguished Professor. Along the way, he managed to author, co-author, and edit 12 books, publish 53 chapters in scholarly books, and write more than 85 articles for scholarly journals. Christians has been active in NCA for more than a quarter of a century. He was the inaugural review and criticism editor for the Critical Studies of Mass Communication, and then served as editor of Cultural Studies, Critical Methodologies, the Journal of Mass Media Ethics, Qualitative Inquiry, and Communication, among other outlets. Christians is a fine scholar whose work has set the standard for serious thinking about the relationship and intersection of ethics to promote media technology, production, and consumption. Congratulations, Clifford Christians. For over 35 years, Gail Fairhurst produced distinctive and path-breaking scholarship in communication that has left a permanent imprint on the field. She has shaped the contours of her discipline through 2 books that make critical links between communication patterns of leaders, rhetorical framing, and organizational systems. She has a 3rd book this year called The Power of Framing: Creating the Language of Leadership. Her record of distinguished scholarship has earned her a national and international reputation in the field. She has presented over 30 invited lectures in communication around the world and received a Fulbright to visit the School of Economics and Management in Sweden, among many other awards. Gail Fairhurst's creative and groundbreaking research has defined the areas of leadership, rhetoric, communication theory, and organizational discourse in ways that captivate scholars inside and outside of our field. Congratulations, Gail Fairhurst. Dennis Mumby is a major figure in interpretive organizational communication research. He has produced an exemplary body of work, including over 50 essays and 5 books. His essay, The Political Function of Narrative, has become a foundational essay in the field, widely cited and certainly reprinted. As one of the founders of critical organizational communication, his book called Communication and Power in Organizations helped introduce theoretically grounded feminist analysis into both organizational communication and management studies. Most recently, Mumby has expanded the investigation of gender issues to study questions of masculinity, organization, and the construction of masculine workplace identities discussed in his book, Reframing Difference in Organizational Communication Studies. He was recently asked to co-edit with Linda Putnam the 3rd edition of the Handbook of Organizational Communication. Mumby's research and publications have helped to shape the field and have offered scholars new tools and opened up new windows on some of the most important dimensions of contemporary social life. Congratulations, Dennis Mumby. Barbie Zelizer is an internationally known scholar and an early proponent of collective memory studies. Her work is most important for its critical assessment of journalistic photography. Her first major book covering the body, The Kennedy Assassination, the Media, and the Shaping of Collective Memory, is a classic in memory studies. Remembering to Forget Holocaust Memory Through the Camera's Eye is a must-read in the area of memory. More recently, she has expanded her work on the subjunctive character of still photography in the book About to Die: How News Images Move the Public. She is the author of over 30 peer-reviewed articles and author or editor of more than 10 books. Her essay, Reading the Past Against the Grain: The Shape of Memory Studies, was the first essay in memory studies in NCA journals. Her work is uniformly excellent, and its quality is attested by its reception internationally. Congratulations, Barbie Zelizer. Yeah. One more time, if you could please just give your accommodation and support to our recent award winners. Thank you. So we congratulate these, what we would all call remarkable colleagues, and their voices. Their teaching, scholarship, and service demonstrate excellence, achievement, and what we would all consider to be an unwavering commitment to our organization and our wonderful discipline. Now let's get champagne and dessert. Thank you all very much.